Waramuli, Anigani Yanton, Amawampa Yarraka Bayles, Duncan Bundjalung Wonnarua, Duncan Birri Gubba and Gungalu, Yuggera, Wonnarua and Gadigal. So I'd like to start by following proper protocol and acknowledging country. And for those of you that may not be familiar what an acknowledgement of country is, it's actually an ancient diplomatic protocol. So it's got nothing to do with being politically correct, it's got nothing to do with reconciliation, and you don't need permission to do an acknowledgement of country. So anyone can do it at any given time. There's no wrong or right way to do it. And we hope that whether you're a citizen or resident of this country, that you'll also take up that obligation and understand that it's an invitation for you to be a part and immerse yourself in the oldest living continuous culture in world history. So as a non-traditional owner, I introduce myself in my mother's language. She's a Wonnarua and Bundjalung woman from New South Wales, an Aboriginal Irish woman. My father's an Aboriginal Scottish man from the Birri Gubba and Gungalu people of Central and North Queensland. I acknowledge the Yuggera people, and in Brisbane, the local name that we identify with is Meanjin and or Mugginjin. On the south side of Marwa, which is the Brisbane River, and on the north side of Marwa is the Turrbal people. But we also acknowledge all sovereign nations. I acknowledge the Gadigal people where I was born and raised in Redfern, and also Quandamooka country where I currently reside on the bay side of Brisbane. So shout out to Brother Duku for an amazing evening tonight to see Black excellence. And I tell you what's so important, the fact that we can come together to celebrate, you know, Black excellence, but also the diverse multicultural country that we now call Australia, because usually we all catch up for funerals, and it's something that is so common in our community. So to be able to come together for a happy event is absolutely amazing. So shout out to Brother Duku for inviting us to acknowledge and open up. But I'd also like to make special mention to my son, Quaden Jr., an 11-year-old. This right here is the biggest dreamer you will ever meet. From a very young age, he's had dreams that I thought were just, you know, I'd try and tell him, come back down to reality. But when you place limitations on yourself and you've got doctors and so-called professionals placing limitations, it makes you reach for the stars even more. So I've realized how important it is to not only dream big, but to set your goals even bigger. And when I was reflecting on the theme tonight, I was thinking, you know, what did I dream of as a child? And I grew up in Redfern, they call it the Hood, a low socioeconomic background from Sydney. I grew up with a very politically active family in the 80s, and my mother passed away at 45 from a heart attack in 2001. She almost reached her life expectancy as an Aboriginal woman. My dad died of cancer in 2016, and he too almost reached his life expectancy as an Aboriginal male. So as an Aboriginal girl growing up in an Aboriginal community like Redfern in the 80s, it was quite an awesome experience. Then we moved to Brisbane and learnt more about our culture, our language, our songs and dances, our Dreamtime stories, our ceremonies. And my dream, looking back on it, was to make it out of Redfern alive, because my mum, her brother and sister who suicided at 31 and 50, they didn't make it out alive. So for me, standing here tonight, dreams do come true, miracles happen, because you're looking at two miracles right here. So, as a mother of 3 children, as a grandmother of 4 children, as a 40-year-old First Nations woman, I've made it out and I've defied the odds and proven statistics wrong, just as my son has. My daughter Gayala as well, my stepdaughter Baimut, got brother MC Chosen and brother Calvin that have supported us here tonight to show that there are First Nations people, Aboriginal people, Indigenous people, alive and well, strong in culture and excelling, whether they're entrepreneurs, business owners, students, working in hospitality or tourism. We hope that people will now learn to understand who we really are and where we really come from, because usually the power of definition lies within the hands of the coloniser. And from other colonised countries, I'm sure many of you will be able to relate. We're now able to take that power back. And with that comes highlighting and elevating Indigenous voices and excellence from around the world. So the fact that I've made it out alive, I now have an obligation to make sure that I'm supporting and assisting not only my community, but anyone that has overcome some of the adversities that I have. And I stand before you 16 years clean and sober because I realised that drugs and alcohol was about to take my life, as it has too many of my family, friends and communities. So it's important that we take that power back, we draw from our strengths and not from our weaknesses, and dream big. This kid has dreams to be an international actor, to travel the world, and if you're looking for a good movie at the moment, 3,000 Years of Longing by David Miller is now at the cinemas, featuring yours truly. We got a small role in that, both of us. My daughter Yarraka Bayles plays Missy Marley in Six Festivals, which is out at Paramount Movies. So both of my children are in the big screens right now. And I can tell you, as a mother, growing up, I became a mother of twins at 17. So I can tell you I've overcome drugs, alcohol, homelessness, domestic violence, childhood trauma, abuse, assaults, you name it. So I know that miracles do happen. I know that when you set your mind to something, you can definitely achieve it. And the self-limiting thoughts that hold our people back from reaching their full potential, especially being a minority in a minority, whether you're part of the disability community, whether you're part of the migrant community, the Indigenous community, the LGBTQI+ community, let that be the fuel to motivate and to put that fire in your belly, and let's start an inferno. So I'm very grateful to be here, and I'd just like to acknowledge a special moment. We were at a Voices of Colour spoken word event last year, and Brother Duku came up and introduced himself to me and Quaden, and he gave Quaden a book, his first book, Rich Dreams, and I read that book, and I gave a review, and I tell you what, not that it's inspiration porn, but we need more success stories. We need more people, especially from minority groups or marginalised backgrounds, to be out there and excelling in their chosen fields and to be able to share their stories, because there may be a little child thinking, if they can do it, so can I. So I'd like to thank each and every single one of you, and also thank you to Duku for considering to follow proper protocol. And I'd also like to put something at the forefront of your minds. If you are introducing or if you are holding an event, please understand that there are cultural obligations, there are protocols that need to be followed. So that acknowledgement of country, the welcome to country, remember, they are ancient diplomatic protocols. And I'd like to acknowledge the local elders who have paved the way for us and empowered us. It's now up to us as the next generation to be able to pick up where they left off. And that's an obligation that we have. If we want to do the work now and we see it as the sacrifices we make to make this world a better place, who benefits from that the most? It's our children and future generations. And that's why I get up every single day and I make sure that I'm doing my best. As a mother, as a grandmother, as a foster carer, as a sister, as an auntie, it's just so important for us to be able to reach our full potentials. And the opportunities that are available at the moment, there's so many opportunities. So if I could encourage people to make contact and build relationships with your local First Nations people, whether it's an elders group, a local land council, we have an obligation. And my grandmother used to say, if you live in this country and you call this country home, then you have an obligation to learn the true history of this country. And this country is known as the most racist country in the world. Yet we have up to 1 million First Nations people that identify. That's Aboriginal and/or Torres Strait Islander people. We now have 300 migrant communities that also identify this beautiful big island continent as Australia, also call this place home. So I know that we can change the narrative by taking that power back, highlighting Indigenous excellence and Black excellence globally, and that's up to each and every single one of us. So on behalf of my family and my community, the Brisbane First Nations community, thank you so much, and let's hopefully unite, because there is definitely strength in unity. And when you look at where we've all come from, think of the struggle that our ancestors have fought. I can't lay down and, rest knowing that I've got 2 generations under me and thousands of generations before me guiding me. So first and foremost, thank you so much to our Creator, to our culture, to our community for instilling the strength in me, the resilience. Because as a First Nations woman, I'm still here, we ain't going nowhere, and we're here to make sure that people know the true history of this country. So please reach out if there's anything. I'd like to encourage people, because in today's day and age, there's no excuse for ignorance. There's so much that we can learn from, and we can also pay it forward to make sure people are understanding the true history of the place that we are blessed to call home. This is the oldest civilization in world history. But I just want to hand it over to my beautiful son, Quaden, because just to share with you from an 11-year-old's perspective what it means to dream big and to hear what his dreams are. No pressure, I'm putting him on the spot. So what's
I've got 3 dreams. I like soccer, and I always wanted to go to the UK and go watch Man City. And my second dream is to buy my mum a house. And my third dream is to have a good life.
In our language, we say yo way. It's like a blessing. It can mean hello, goodbye, and thank you. So after 3, can everyone say yo way? 1, 2, 3. Yo way.